Okay, we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with this evening's live stream, 7:35 p.m. It is the 30th of January. It is also, and today looking at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press here in Spain, some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers, and also going into the chat section on the live stream this evening to check out what is happening there. So if you are watching live, say hello in that chat section. Now, straight into the news, and firstly, we've got to get something out of the way. Some fake news hoaxes spreading over the last week all over the internet, especially coming from the British press. No surprises there. As we can see, headlines earlier in the week, 5 days ago from the Mirror, Spain's new 3-year tourist ban and what it means for Brits. GB News, another fantastic press outlet there from the UK. Spain tourist ban, British holidaymakers set to suffer under 3 years of new restrictions. And Euro Weekly News, which calls itself Spain's leading online newspaper, bit over the top. Spain's tourist ban, what you need to know. So these are some of the headlines that people have been clicking on over the last week or so. Tourist ban here in Spain. What an absolute load of rubbish. As we can see here, no, Spain isn't banning tourists. Here's what you need to know before planning a trip. And from the Spanish press, this is what's going on. Malaga approves ban on new tourist apartments in 43 neighborhoods of the city. That is the ban on new tourist apartments in 43 neighborhoods because the situation with Airbnb is out of control. So tourists are welcome, but they want to crack down on these tourist apartments, which often are not registered and are being put up illegally by basically landlords with no scruples to cash in on the tourism boom in this country. So fake news, hoaxes, tourists are welcome in 2025, just like any other year. So don't pay attention to those press outlets and get sucked in by those headlines that say tourists banned, as we can see here from places like the Mirror, GB News, and Spain's #1 online newspaper, according to themselves, Euro Weekly News. Straight into the real news now, and Spain-US relations still a little bit rocky because President Trump has excluded Spain from his first round of diplomatic contacts. As expected, Spain is not a priority for Donald Trump's administration. The US president has yet to contact Spanish officials, instead prioritizing 9 European countries and Morocco in his first round of diplomatic engagements. His ideological differences with Pedro Sánchez, dissatisfaction with Spain's low defense spending, and a stronger focus on Morocco contribute to this diplomatic snub. Spain's stance is not new. Trump's stance is not new. During his first term, Spain was largely overlooked in US foreign policy. The current situation suggests that bilateral relations will likely remain distant, relying mainly on historical ties and military bases in Spain. However, tensions could escalate if NATO commitments, security issues on the southern flank, or public statements lead to a confrontation. A notable aspect of this diplomatic shift is the role of Marco Rubio, the new US Secretary of State, who is of Cuban origin and speaks Spanish. So it looks as though Mr. Rubio, the new Secretary of State, Spanish speaker, Cuban background, not overly in favor of tightening or strengthening relationships with Spain, is Mr. Rubio, according to that. And Mr. Trump not picking up the phone yet and calling Pedro Sánchez. I imagine Mr. Sánchez is waiting in his government palace for that phone call, but it's not coming. And the foreign minister also has been snubbed by Mr. Trump so far. Morocco, no, and 9 other European countries. So interesting times ahead for Spain and the United States, and that relationship, which, as we saw with the previous Trump administration, was as I said, a little bit rocky. Another one here, and narco lanchas or drug-carrying boats in Seville in broad daylight. Civil Guard reports impunity and lack of resources against drug trafficking. The sight of several narco lanchas, drug smuggling boats, navigating freely along the Guadalquivir River in the heart of Seville has sparked outrage and concern. The incident, which took place on Tuesday near the Estadio de la Cartuja, highlights the growing presence of drug trafficking in the area and the inability of law enforcement to act effectively against these criminal organizations. The use of semi-rigid boats by traffickers is not a new phenomenon in the Guadalquivir. For years, the river has been a major entry route for drugs into Spain, initially for hashish smuggling and now increasingly for cocaine imported from South America, according to police sources. However, the boldness displayed by these boats as they moved through the city on Tuesday was unprecedented. So that's where we are at with this drug smuggling operation down in the south of Spain. These narco boats, as we saw there, cruising along one of Spain's main rivers through one of Spain's main cities, Seville, down there in the south of Spain, with impunity, as we saw there. People looking on, that these masked men driving these boats with whatever they were carrying, and unbelievable to think that this is happening in 2025 in a European Union country with, as we saw there, with such a blatant disrespect for the law. So the south of Spain increasingly more and more under control of these narcos, these drug trafficking groups who now, with the entry of cocaine, it's not new, but now with the huge numbers of cocaine, the huge amounts of cocaine coming into the country, these people are cashed up and they don't care. They don't care. Just cruising around the centre of one of Spain's main tourist cities, Seville, in these boats on display for all to see. Unbelievable, but that's where we are at today here. And the final piece of news, unemployment falls below 8% in 15 Spanish provinces. Spain is gradually approaching its full unemployment rate target of as 15 provinces now have an unemployment rate of below 8%, 6 more than a year ago. This marks a significant improvement compared to 2019, when only 3 provinces had a jobless rate below this threshold. Pedro Sánchez has pledged during his 2023 election campaign to work towards structural full employment at 8% throughout the next legislature. While Spain as a whole still has a national unemployment rate of 10.6%, according to the latest labour force survey for the last quarter of 2024, progress at a regional level is evident. The downward trend highlights regional economic resilience and post-pandemic recovery, although challenges remain in higher unemployment areas. The improvement reflects job creation efforts and economic growth, but achieving full employment nationwide will still require further structural reforms. And we can see the areas where unemployment is lowest in Spain: Guipúzcoa, up there in the Basque Country, Lleida, Catalonia, Soria, Castilla y León, Cuenca, Castilla-La Mancha, Burgos, Navarra, Segovia, Palencia, Lugo, etc., around that between 4.7 and 6.8%, those places there. However, at the other end of the scale, we have the usual candidates, let's say, Jaén, Granada, Cádiz, Ceuta, Melilla, with unemployment rates there in the 20s or close to the 20s, as is the case of Jaén and Andalusia, and Cádiz 21%. And not surprising, where a lot of those drug boats are entering that river, the Guadalquivir, to get to Seville is in the province of Cádiz. So do the maths, put 2 and 2 together, and you'll understand why unemployment 21% in that part of Spain, and drug trafficking. I'll let you guys do the maths and work out the solution to that problem there. Now, let's go into the comment section. If I can find it here. 1 minute. There we go. Lost with the slides. One here from someone. Where is Sánchez going to get the money for the pensions increase? More taxes? More debt? Probably. Yep. More taxes? More debt? It's as simple as that. Thank you very much. Another one here from Howard. Interesting name for that restaurant, Simpat, meaning sin par, not having no equal. Not to be confused with simpa. Hacer un simpa means sin pagar, or to leave a restaurant without paying, do a runner in English. Yes, Howard, that was the restaurant that the other day won the award for the best ham croquette here in Spain, a restaurant in Santiago de Compostela in Galicia. A very nice looking croqueta it was, with that ham straight off the bone, very expensive ham made into a nice bechamel with a nice broth, and taking out that award is the restaurant. And the name, Sinbad, I think was the name, Sinbad, which as Howard points out there, has no rivals, and maybe in the city of Compostela, Santiago de Compostela, there isn't a rival to that croquette, at least. Thanks, Howard, for that. One here from Victoria. My partner ordered our drinks and food in Spanish on our last holiday to Magic Natura just outside Benidorm. The lady serving was so impressed, she went even more overboard than they usually do on his spirit measure. Yeah, Victoria, you've got to be careful with those spirit measures. Sometimes here in Spain, in some parts of the country at least, you can get a fair-sized serving of your spirit drink by the generous waitstaff. And maybe that was the reason. Putting in the effort to speak a little bit of Spanish, the waitress said, mire este guiri, que bien habla, le voy a dar el doble de ron, o de doble de whiskey, o de doble de vodka. And away you went. So that goes to show that if you do speak a little bit of the language, the locals do appreciate it. Or at least we'll stick to that story. Another one here from ACAC, I think this is. Don't know the pronunciation there. In your opinion, who generally has better olive oil, Portugal or Spain? Well, I'm going to be honest. Sasao Madeira, I can't tell the difference, to be honest. A good Spanish olive oil and a good Portuguese olive oil. The conditions are very, very similar. If you drive along the Spanish-Portuguese border, you can see that the olive trees just cross over the border there with no problems at all. And on one side, it becomes a Portuguese olive oil. On the other side, it becomes a Spanish olive oil. But as I said, for me, both very good quality olive oils, as would the Greek olive oil be. The Italian olive oil would be as well. All of these countries that have olive groves, olive plantations. Australia has decent quality olive oil too nowadays. But, Portugal and Spain, very, very similar, I must say, when it comes to this type of thing. And even when it comes to cold meats, your chorizos, all of those things, quite similar. Although the Portuguese chorizo is a little bit smokier. Thanks for the comment. Another one here from Arturo. Both paella and fideuà are from the same place. The fideuà specifically from Gandia, in the province of Valencia. Yes, Arturo, thank you very much for that. Both Valencian specialties, paella and fideuà, which is the pasta version, same broth, same ingredients in the dish. And apparently whoever invented the fideuà first, I think the story goes that they either didn't have rice or they were sick of eating their paella with rice, and they said, let's put pasta in here instead, and bang, fideuà. And quite a tasty dish, and a paella alternative if you see it on the menu. And you get a good one, of course. The secret is that, to get a good one, because I imagine in a lot of places the pasta could be a little bit too overcooked. So be careful with that. Thanks for the comment. And the final one here from Fred. Great food, but can they please get rid of these ever-present plastic chairs? I don't think so, Fred, because the plastic chairs are normally supplied by the breweries or the alcohol companies that supply the bars and restaurants around Spain. And it's a cheap furniture that the bars obviously have to satisfy their clientele, whether it be the local beer brand, as I said, or maybe a vodka brand or a gin brand or something like that. That is normally who provides the outdoor seating. So, I don't think it's going to go anytime soon. You can, in some places, get very flimsy metal chairs. I don't know whether I prefer the plastic or the flimsy metal, but decent seating in a lot of these places in your opinion, you're probably not getting. But for me, it's just the place to sit down and have a drink, and then move on somewhere else. So yeah, I wouldn't get too stressed about the about the outdoor furniture in bars and the plastic nature of it. Thanks, Fred, for that. Now, into the chat section, I'm going to go in just a moment. Before I get there, I'm going to change the backdrop. This photo was sent in by Jerry, who was recently in Valencia, I believe. Took this photo here of a nice bridge, Jerry said. Not sure which bridge it is. It just said a bridge in Valencia. Thanks, Jerry, for that. And any other photos that you would like to see, if you have a photo that you would like to see, on the backdrop here, the email address is on the screen now, spainspeaks@gmail.com. Feel free to send your photos through to that address, as Jerry has done and many other people have done over the last few years since I have been asking for them. So thank you very much. And I'm also putting the photos now on the backdrop of some language videos that I'm doing. So if you've got a nice photo of Spain and you reckon it's worthy of the backdrop here, send it through, please. Send it through. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I appreciate the viewer support with the photos. Like icon going on the screen also. You just below the video, you'll be able to find it. Somebody said the other day they couldn't find the like icon. If you're on YouTube, you've got the video. Just below, you'll see like, dislike. Hit either one. Doesn't worry me. Also on the television, you'll have to go into the menu. You'll see the options to hit the like button. So not a difficult thing to do if you can find it. So consider hitting that like icon, please. People that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's the super thanks option, super chat option here on the live streams, people that have bought me a coffee, Patreon supporters, longer term supporters, thank you very much. And also Fred, who's a longer term Patreon supporter, for sending me a video about that tourist band today. Thanks, Fred, for that. It's absolute nonsense, some of the stuff out there at the moment. But what can we do? What can we do? And also to people that have joined the channel as members starting from 99 cents. Remember, it helps to keep the channel going, helps me to make more videos. So consider supporting if you like what I do here on the channel. Now, where are we? Into the chat section I'm going to go. Super chat has just come through. I'll get to that I'll get to that now. It's the first thing I can see here from James and Kathy. Thank you very much, guys. We've got super chat for £1.99. Thank you very much for that, guys. Appreciate it. I'll buy myself a coffee with that tomorrow. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at what we've got here also in the chat. Andrew, the first person I can see, valued member, coming in from a damp, cold London southeast. Loved the Menu del Dia review yesterday. Have a great week. Thanks, Andrew, for that. I enjoyed making the video. I enjoy eating these meals and posting the videos for people to watch and give their comments. It's an enjoyable experience. Janet coming in from Oxford. Horrifying plane crash. So sad for all those involved. Yes, dominating the world headlines today. That accident, 65 people losing their lives, crashing with some type of military helicopter, was it, or something like that? Yeah, terrible story, but yeah, the accidents are difficult to avoid, I suppose, sometimes, and they will happen, as they say. But always making headlines when so many people are killed in a tragedy like this. Sani coming in too. Hope having a good day, everyone. Thank you very much, Sani, for that. Tioal, Cádiz irregular sometimes. Buenas, mis amigos. As an airline pilot, I have flown many times into Washington Reagan Airport, or Reagan, I suppose that is, after Ronald Reagan, I suppose. It's not easy. May the victims rest in peace. Thanks, Al, for that. Absolutely. What else we've got going on here? Carmen mentioning, talking to Alan directly there, so I won't put that one on the screen. Richard's in the chat here. Hope everyone is well. Coming in from North Yorkshire. -3 there this morning. Stu, you have put some great videos out recently. I'm very grateful. I'm learning a lot. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Richard. I've changed the content strategy. I'm putting out different types of videos. I'm going to cut back on the news as well, letting people know, because the news is I'll do a couple of videos maybe every week, a couple of live streams, but I'm not going to be putting out regular news videos. If you want news videos on Spain, there's other people doing it. there's some people doing the same type of thing. So if you want news every day, go and see what they're talking about. It might not be really, truly Spanish news, but it's what they want to talk about. So go and watch those. Erica's coming in too from a bit windy Terrassa. 9 degrees at the moment, or 9 below. Don't think it would be that. Thanks for those lovely food videos, which makes me go back to cooking. Wishing you all a great weekend. Thanks, Erica. Barbara's coming in, valued member from Playa Flamenca. Have just returned from a fantastic trip to Ronda and Seville. Didn't see any of those narco boats up the main river there, did you, Barbara? The light laser show in the Jardín Real Alcázar de Sevilla was amazing. Ronda, a great place too. Thanks, Barbara. Travelling quite a bit in recent times is Barbara. Pamela, short and sweet. Hello. Thanks for that. What's this? I've never seen those headlines. Must read the wrong paper or not. Thanks, Janet. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people do read those other press outlets, and that's the news they're getting. James and Kathy, we saw the super chat before. Chile Worcester had a grand day out today. Ludlow, lunch and a visit to the farm shop. Thanks for that, James. Tony's in the chat too. I was worried. We will be in Barcelona for our annual visit. The 29th in New England feels like 29 degrees Fahrenheit in New England feels like 16. Yeah, I wouldn't worry, Tony. There'll be a bit of, come the summer months, there'll be a few protests, I imagine. There'll be a couple of the usual protesters out in the streets walking around. Got nothing better to do, so they'll join in the protests, of course. The people that want everything for, the money for nothing, chicks for free group that expect everything to fall into their lap, they'll be out and about instead of opening a business and trying to take advantage of 95 million plus tourists. They complain about it, but everyone's entitled to do what they want to do. I wouldn't worry, Tony. Just avoid some of the dodgier areas if you can, and you should have a great trip. Chrissy, hi Stuart. What an awful wet night we had last night. Our drive was waterlogged. Had to go out into the village for an ambulance to Granada. Good result though. I didn't have to have a biopsy on my thyroid. Good to see, Chrissy. All is well health wise down there. Yes, quite a lot of rain in the last few days here also. CL Man saying the US plans to ban personal income tax. Think of how much money you will save and not having to file income taxes every year, not to mention bureaucracy savings. I didn't know that, CL. That sounds like a very radical idea to ban personal income tax. Bronny in the chat here, show him in Bailey. Thanks for clearing up the confusion with those inflammatory headlines about tourism. Thank you for the live stream. Best wishes, Bronny. Yeah, Bronny, I mean, we see it every year, the same British press all the time. They're trying to justify decisions that they supported in the past. Things probably not going too well for them, and a lot of British people are looking for sunnier climes, and that's what they want to try to make people's life a little bit unstable by putting this type of information out there, which is a shame, but that's the modus operandi of these press outlets, of course. -7 degrees in Vermilion, Alberta, Canada. Got that right, I think, today, Mike. Lisa coming in from Viseu, Portugal. Made fideuà for lunch. Substituted squid for mussels. We'll be repeating and experimenting more with this delicious dish. Yes, Lisa, I suppose it's quite easy to make as well. I'm not going to say that paella is an easy dish to make, but once you get the stock and the measurements right, especially when it comes to getting the measurements of the rice and the measurements of the pasta correct, you can make a nice dish. Trump fired hundreds of personnel in charge of aviation safety, according to Frank. Well, he's only been there for a couple of days, so he must have worked fairly quickly. Thanks for that. Chris is saying minus for us tomorrow in Salah, but cold, but at least the rain has stopped. Thanks for that. Is it me, or does Stu seem a bit high energy today? Not complaining, just an observation. Well, I went to Seville recently, Paradox, and you know what happens down there, right? Chrissy's in the chat as well. Antonio's in the chat here too. What's Antonio saying? Hello, Stuart. Spot on. Sanchez is going to get the money for pensions out of more taxes and debt, and the country is going to get worse and worse because of the debt. There we go. Thanks, Antonio, for your input there. I often have to tell wait staff to ease up on the measure of gin, though Kathy is quite happy. Yes, that's true. Sometimes you have to tell the wait staff to stop. I have been in that situation myself. Joe coming in from Lanzarote. Lots of happy tourists. Lovely sunny day there. Thanks, Joe, for that. What else we got going on? Paradox saying the fideuà looked amazing. It was a tasty plate, I will say. Antonio, the main difference in oil. Here we go. According to the Portuguese Spain oil rivalry, is not where it's grown. It's the type of olive trees which give different types of olives. Picual is not the same as Cornicabra, is that, or Arbequina, or Picudo. Different tastes. Thanks, Antonio, for pointing us straight there with that. Setting us straight, I should say. Pointing us in the right direction. Gasman coming in. Hola, Stu. Great channel. Just got back from Alicante. Beautiful people and place. Thanks, Gasman, for that. Joaquin is here as well. Let me see if I can get this one on the screen. You have good knowledge about Spain. I guess you can pass a Spanish official exam with a 10 out of 10. Do you have a Spanish passport, or did you get the nationality? No and no. I could probably pass the citizenship exam. Some of the questions I think are fairly standard knowledge if you've been in Spain and you understand what's going on. I might get picked up on a couple of them, Joaquin, but yeah, I've never gone down the Spanish passport route or nationality because the Spanish don't allow dual nationality with Australia, so I would have to renounce my Australian passport. Some people are willing to do that, of course, but not me. So I'll stick to my residency, which I'm entitled to change also next time over, so I can go on to the comunitario residency, apparently, because of my my family situation. So that's probably what I'll do. But to become 100% Spanish and have to hand over my my Spanish passport, I know some people don't do it, but the law states that you should. So it's a bit complicated and nah. What else? Sean the Prawn. Hi, Stu. Looked at the super chat, but can't find membership. How do you become a member? I think if you go to the YouTube page, Sean, my YouTube channel page, there's a little thing where it says join. So there's different things there. I think subscribe, join, and if you hit that join button, you'll see a video of me pop up and with the different options. So that's where it is on the main YouTube page. GG, valued member. GG also had trouble finding it, I think, back in the day, but has become a member, of course. And I think also you can only do that. I think you can only find that join button. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's more visible on a computer rather than a television set or a phone. I could be wrong. And looking at my statistics the other day, the YouTube stats, I think 43% of views now are coming from television. So lots of people watching YouTube on the television nowadays. They've said goodbye to traditional television and YouTube is taking over. Surprise, Arizona, GG is coming in from. Brian's a valued member as well. The most recent restaurant review or food critique you put out was certainly better than the previous one. Quality-wise, I suppose, for the food, that is. Anyone who believed that the Spanish government was going to ban tourists must be pretty gullible. I imagine, Brian, and given some of the comments that I see on this channel, that there are gullible people out there that do tend to fall into the trap of what the press says. The headlines catch people's attention. As soon as you read 3 lines of the article, you realized that what it was just banning new tourist apartments from being built in 46 neighborhoods in Malaga. Nothing there. That's just trying to crack down on this type of accommodation. So the original ones are still going to be there if they're legal accommodation, of course. But yeah, Brian, I have noticed the gullibility of some people. Hola, ¿qué tal? Says Martin. Good to see you, Martin. Trufado oil is the best. Thank you very much. This Clickbait, yeah, clickbait is the way. Well, there's so much information on the internet nowadays that the only way to get noticed sometimes is to use some type of headline that'll stand out. And people have accused me of clickbait in the past. Clickbait, theoretically, is something which has nothing to do with the content. So that's an example of clickbait. Tourist ban. What do you understand by tourist ban? It's clickbait. Absolutely. Santiago saying, hello, the problem is not with tourists, but very rich foreign people that buy many properties and leave locals with less options. There is no problem with tourists nor foreigners that are residents. Yeah, Santiago, but as we said the other day, a lot of foreign people buy property that Spanish people won't buy unless your name is Ana Botín, Amancio Ortega or Florentino Pérez. Si te llamas así, tal vez, pero si te llamas otro nombre, tal vez no. And that's the reality, Santiago. We saw an article the other day of somebody who's going to spend close to 700,000 euros on a house in Alicante. Locals, how many? Don't know. How many people can go to Mallorca and buy a house worth 1.5 million euros? Not many, right? But rich foreigners can. So rich foreign people are probably at a different level than the locals, but it's the tourist flats that have been bought up by a lot of these funds, international funds, which are the average accommodation that people like yourself, Santiago, or myself have access to. Those are the ones that have become more difficult in the center of the cities. For example, all of these trust funds that have come in and spent billions buying up these homes. I've seen whole buildings, whole apartment buildings turned into accommodation flats. In Salamanca, when I was there, this company had 3 or 4 floors of an apartment building bang in the residential part of Salamanca. So it's not the problem of rich foreigners coming here, it's these others. My opinion only, of course. Mick coming in from Los Abrigos in Tenerife, nice little fishing village, not many tourists and great seafood restaurants. Yeah, very close to the airport, Mick, down there in the south of Tenerife. Nice little town as well. What else? Manuel, hello from Valencia. Anyone know what their experience is with getting mortgages? If you make an income from outside Spain, our bank at BBVA denied us because of it. Anybody have the same experience? We'll put that one out there, Manuel. I'm sure we'll get some replies to that. Sean saying, thanks for that. You can hold Irish and Australian passports together. Would consider moving to Ireland so you can retire in Spain and travel easily around Europe. Would I consider doing that, Sean? No, because with my Spanish residency, I can move around Europe with no problems at all. I can't stay in another European country for more than a certain amount of time, but as far as travelling goes on an Australian passport or on my Spanish identity card, there's no issues. Would I consider becoming an Irish citizen? Well, I have to have some type of Irish heritage, and unfortunately, well, don't say unfortunately negatively here, but to get the Irish passport, it's not my case. I might have had some Irish blood in me, in the family. In fact, I'm absolutely sure that there is, because my grandmother had an uncle living in Ireland. But the problem is that it goes back too far. So I think my father might have been able to get an Irish passport. That option has dried up, but so not an issue, not a possibility, Sean. But thanks for that. Manuel, went to another bank and they told us that they could not offer a mortgage because my wife uses an NIE and I have a DNI. There we go. So, yeah, complicated. What else we got going on here? Alison, great to see you supporting the local restaurants. I keep going with the Menú del Día. Thanks for that. Yeah, local restaurants. I always try to frequent local restaurants. My fast food days are virtually over unless I'm with my son who wants a burger and there's nothing else available. But yeah, I normally support the local restaurants and spend my money in the local economy. That's it. Liz, thank you for the excellent channel. Thanks, Liz, for that. The problem is they raised the prices of the place. Yeah, again, I don't know. It's supply and demand, Santiago, and there's not that many foreigners coming in buying property. Supply and demand. The problem is there's not enough housing. That's the issue. When you don't build homes, you have a housing crisis. That's the issue. When you've got a lot of tourists coming here and people are changing the rental status from long-term to short-term, you get a rental crisis, and that's what's going on. So you've got to talk to your paisanos also, Santiago, people that have, instead of putting their property on the long-term rental market, they've got it on the short-term rental market because they want the pelas. Rich foreign people are really welcome in Spain. Also, not so rich people. I'll just go back to that point as well. Venezuelans, for example, might be a rich group, but they're buying in Barrio Salamanca, Santiago. I mean, who can afford to live in Barrio Salamanca? Let's be honest about this. Antonio, very rich foreign people are really welcome in Spain, and also the not so rich foreign people, and also poor foreign people. We don't welcome people because of the money. It's because of coming to visit us. Thanks, Antonio, for that. My background has gone. That's the green screen. I'll just get it back on here. Let me see if I can do it here quickly. There we go. What else we got going on here quickly? DF. Spain needs a job. Another form of income. Don't complain about tourism when it looks to be your number one source of income. If it wasn't, what is? There we go. That's DF's opinion there. And Johnny, last person I can see here coming in from Santiago de Compostela. Thanks, Johnny, for tuning in this evening. I'm almost done. The quality of the video for that second to last food critique was just fine, as they all are. The food. Yeah, I thought that was what you meant, Brian. I was also disappointed in the food, but sometimes it's hit and miss. There's so many restaurants offering the same thing. It's very, very competitive, and some places feel that they need to put out a menú del día. I don't know why, and it was clear that restaurant didn't want to do it. The food was terrible. The service was okay, but you could see that there was no one in there, and they just weren't interested, basically, in the menú del día, which was the opposite of the place that I went to the other day. You know, they welcome you with open arms, but some places don't. So that's the issue. Now I'm going to wrap it up. It's been a pleasure as always. I'll be back again soon. Hope to see you then. Hasta luego. Hasta entonces. Adios, and bye-bye.